All right, guys, so about once a year or so for the last decade, maybe, I try to make a new updated video about frequency separation. I feel like it's extremely misunderstood by many people. Yeah, lots of people leverage it appropriately, but commercial retouchers who understand that it's just a decomposition method and it can be used for lots of things in lots of ways, that's one thing. But the vast majority of people out there are on YouTube trying to figure out a way to edit a portrait, for example. They come across frequency separation for the last 15 or 20 years, and then they're like, oh yeah, give me some of that. Unfortunately, there's information that's usually left out or just not completely clear, and that's why I make these videos. So today I'm hoping to do a slightly different demo that maybe, just maybe, kind of gives you some idea of how these processes work and what they mean, right? So we're going to work with my actions, even though I'm guessing that you have a frequency separation action if you're familiar with it. If it's brand new to you, hang tight. We're going to try to explain a little bit of that too. But keep in mind, there are so many resources on frequency separation on YouTube and everywhere else that it's a little bit overwhelming at times. And I'm just trying to offer a different perspective to see if you can leverage it better in the work you're trying to do. So I'm going to use my action, like I said, regardless if you have your own, that's fine. So I'm going to duplicate the background layer, as is my way, just to have a copy of the main image. This is unedited out of Capture One. And I'm going to run MVP freak step, that's what I call it, median 16. All that means is that it's using median for the blurring process, which we'll talk about in a minute, and it's a 16-bit file, which means that the technical setups are a little bit different between 16 and 8-bit. Have questions on that? I mean, yeah, go ahead and search on YouTube, but you can leave a comment below and I'll be happy to talk to you about it, or drop me an email, mbp@ninobatista.com. Now, again, a lot of this information has been said and said 1,000 times over on YouTube, but let's go forward. Let's go ahead and run it. And when we do, first thing it's going to ask us is, how much do you want to blur? One of the first problems that I've noticed for many years now when it comes to people showing frequency separation setups is the way they talk about the blurring aspect. First of all, they'll tell you that median is great. It's the last 10, 15, 12 years or so, maybe. That's what people want to use as opposed to Gaussian blur. However, some people will tell you that Gaussian is the way to go. And one of the main things they tell you is to start at a low amount, low radius, and then slowly, zoom a little bit here on Andy, and then slowly move the radius up until the finest of textures vanishes. It's kind of like the thinking that they tell you. So I don't know, what does that mean for you? Let's say that, and then you hit OK. So we'll run it at 4 and we'll let it finish its process. Now, for those new to frequency separation, once it's done, the image looks identical. There's a folder, in my actions case, there's a folder, and it creates the layers in question. If I turn the folder on and off, the image doesn't change. Okay, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly seamless. It's a decomposition. What does that mean? It means that the high layer, which if we hold down Alt or Option and click the eyeball next to that layer of high, we see the high layer, which is about as clear as mud in terms of what the hell does actually, what are you looking at in this situation? For the newbie, if it's not clear, in fact, it usually isn't, it can be very confusing. I understand that. But this is the high texture. And then if we look at the low texture, not only is this the low texture, it's the 4 radius that we asked for. That's exactly what we asked for. Everything else that's not on that layer in terms of texture is what's now on the high layer. Okay, fine, Nino. What does that mean? Well, it means that we can do things, just to be thorough, guys, bear with me. If you're new to frequency separation, pay attention. If you're experienced with frequency separation, bear with me. We're going to get to some new stuff, hopefully, here in a second. So let's say I just take any skin tone color, doesn't matter, and I paint over in the layer in between high and low. That's just a blank layer. In there, you'll see that I've painted color underneath texture and above the rest of the frequencies. So we have the low frequencies and we have the high frequencies, and then we have everything that I painted in between, which normally, if I hold down Alt or Option, looks like that. It's just a blob of paint, as it were, of pixels, right? Okay, so with that said, that means we can potentially use like a 5% flow or something, casually paint, sample color and casually paint over maybe a highlight on our forehead or something like that as like sample color over. This is just a really hatchet job, guys. And maybe I can reduce skin shine, and maybe I can change the opacity of that to make it more realistic, etc., etc. Those are the many ways we can leverage that. However, turn everything back on. The issue I have with frequency separation is that videos anyway, is that they don't explain what does that even mean. Well, we're going to create a situation where we can try, hopefully, to understand what the frequencies are doing. So I'm going to duplicate one more time. And I'm going to take this layer, the duplicate of the image, and I'm going to put a Gaussian blur on it, not for frequency separation, for demonstration purposes. Let's do like a 35. There it is. Okay. We're going to go ahead and make a mask on that, invert the mask. And then I'm just going to take a big circular brush. This is not workflow, guys. It's just a demo, okay? Big circular brush and click there. Oops, let's make it white. Click there, boom. That circle has been blurred. What does that mean? Well, it means that all the high frequencies have been removed from that circle because that's a blur, a copy of the image blurred. What is a high frequency? It means all these little high contrasty areas, the little, the eyebrows, the little hairs, the little tiny micro texture, this line right here, the very edges of the teeth and the lips, anywhere there's a strong contrast in a transition, that is one area of color and luminosity into another, when there's a really strong transition that happens quickly, that's high frequency. So of course, like for example, the tooth edge to the tongue is as high frequency as it can get. It's literally the maximum apart from pure black and white pixels next to each other, right? Anything smoother, which is the textures of, for lack of a better term, underneath the microtexture, those are lower frequencies. So with that said, what do you think everything inside our blurred circle is? Low, in fact, very low frequencies, right? So if we were to do this demo, I'm gonna go ahead and stamp all that to a new layer because now I put that blurred circle permanently onto those pixels, onto this image. And now we're gonna run frequency separation on that for a couple of things. When we run the action, yet again, a couple of things I want you to notice. When it asks me to choose a blur, you're not really affecting the blurred area very, very much. You are, but you can't really tell that much of a difference. Let's go ahead and put it on let's leave it on 8 actually. You know what? Yeah, let's leave it on 8. Hit OK. It's going to run the process. Once again, the image that we started with is identical. We've just done a decomposition. We started with the blurred circle, right? So because the blurred circle was in there, it was part of the whole technical process. What does that leave us with? Well, okay, if we hold down Alt or Option and click the low layer, we get that 8 radius that we just saw. What's on the high layer? Let's take a look. Hold down Alt or Option. Interesting. The high layer, a radius of 8. All the blurred circle is gone. There's nothing there because in the extraction process, which is a mathematical calculation, in the extraction process, there was no high frequencies in there. So it didn't get pulled into the high frequency layer. What would that frequency be? Which is another question people ask me when I do this demo to them in person. Well, how would I get any of these frequencies into the high? I don't know, maybe a radius of 100, and that's completely useless because you start having all kinds of weird haloing and artifacting. It's not really useful to have extreme radii on frequency separation setups, but you see what happens here. Now, once again, we did the color thing a minute ago, right? Let's go ahead and use a soft brush. I don't know why. And we're going to take it to the general skin tone. And if we paint over here, we see all the textures still show up. But when we paint in the blur area, it's as if there's no texture there. Because there isn't. Okay, we can just fill the whole thing and you'll see what I'm talking about. Everywhere outside that circle has higher frequencies of some form. Everything above 8, which is just arbitrary based on the resolution of my image right now, based on the blurring operator that I chose, which was median, etc. There's not a master cheat sheet of what radius you should use. You just have to experiment. But you can see when that circle got blurred, there was nothing to put into the high. If that helps you in any way understand what's happening, how we're pushing that texture out, well, okay, cool. Some people, that helps them a lot. Let's try this again. We're going to run it kind of high. Again, with that blurry circle. Let's run it at 65, which is outrageous. We're going to go ahead and run it at 65. Come on now. Just got to think about it. There we go. Hit OK. Now we've ruined a lot now because now we're choosing a different blur operator and it's changing a lot. So let's fill in between. As you can see now inside that circle, there's the vestiges of the very, very broadest frequencies because with a higher radius, we are effectively pushing a certain frequency and everything above it into the high frequency layer. And that's what happens up here. So if you hold down Alt or Option, you can see that there's a tiny amount of that frequency. This is extreme. You will never run into this situation, certainly not editing skin, but it's a demo to show you what frequencies are doing. When we choose a 65, we can actually push some of this blurry area that we invented. We can actually push some of that into the high frequency. Again, not useful, not workflow, not practical. But when we are setting up frequency separation normally, okay, we think to ourselves, what do I want to do? Okay, well, let's say I want to use like a 2 radius. What does that mean? That means I'm not pushing very much into the high frequency layer. I'm not pushing very much in there. So again, if I fill it with any tone, I'm just using the skin tone, you'll see that in the in-between layer being full of skin tone, that high is not very high. Oh, excuse me. It is the highest. Excuse me. It's not very broad. I misspoke. There's not a lot of texture in there except the finest texture. When does that become interesting? Well, we have the skin. You can see there's skin texture in there. Oops, I moved it. Didn't mean to. There's skin texture in there. It gets a little bit blurry on the lower frequencies because there's none in the high layer. Oh, but look at her outfit now. Time out. What's going on there? Well, let's turn it off. The outfit has a lot of very high frequency, very high contrast little areas, right? So maybe if you're trying to make modifications to the outfit, a tighter radius makes sense to you. 2, 3, 4, maybe. Play around with it and see. Eventually you'll get like a second nature as to what you may want to use. Okay. And then let's say we run it again and we choose like, I don't know, a 12. Okay. 12 is a little bit broader, especially for the resolution of my image. Again, no magic numbers. You have to experiment. Just understand you probably never use 100 or anything like that. If I fill that up, okay, now we still see, of course, that the outfit has texture, but we've pushed so much texture into it that maybe, just maybe, it's not as useful if we want to make micro changes. However, the skin has a lot more natural texture preserved. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, so if I take that layer, remember I was doing earlier, I had like a 5% flow or something, 4, and I can come in here with a 12 radius, and I can choose skin tone, and I can literally paint. You know, some people like to blur the low layer. You've seen that in frequency separation. That can be useful. Blur the low layer, use the mixer brush in the low layer, things of that nature. But me, I just like to paint. And when I paint like this, having a radius, a higher radius, maybe 12, 15, 16, whatever, it allows me to be a little more free with it, a little more liberal with it, knowing that the texture, most likely most of the texture that I want, has been pushed into the high layer. Now, how can we prove the opposite is true? Well, if we go back and run it one more time, by the way, commercial retouchers run frequency separation multiple times, depending on what they're trying to do to an image and where and why. Okay, let's run a 2 once again, similar to what we did a second ago. Now, if we paint, same thing, same 5% flow, 4% flow, we start painting skin tone, resampling and painting skin tone. It's working, but as you can see, I can get very irresponsible with it very, very quickly because when I'm painting smooth areas, it's only preserving the tightest texture. That's not great. Sure, you can change the opacity, but it's not quite the same as deciding how much texture you want in the high layer. So finding that radius that really works well for you, for your skin, if you're going to do painting like this, for skin correction or anything like that, could work one way. Cloth could work another way. And again, it's hard to tell you what numbers are the exact numbers. I don't know. I know for me in my work, I'm roughly running a 24 megapixel image. And for the most part, I'm happy with, if I'm going to paint under the skin to kind of smooth out transitions pretty heavily, then I'm probably going to be 12 to 16 radius on median. If it's a 3/4 shot anyway, if it's a headshot, I might push it up to 20. If it's further away, like a full length or an environmental portrait, it could be 4, 5, or 6. It just depends on how big the skin areas are relative to the pixels, which of course are fixed. Now, I'm being very brief and very broad because we can really get into the weeds of the mathematics and all the details about frequency separation, but I'm trying to tell you how to use it in a practical way. And the best way I can tell you is when you go to run it, it's probably a good idea to do your due diligence up front. What do I mean by that? I mean like healing. If there's moles you want to get rid of, or blemishes or things like that, or other lines that are just problematic and you don't want them there, get rid of them with healing or the remove tool or something else, then run frequency separation for overall texture mastering. That's what I like to call it, texture mastering. I have some actions that do that automatically for skin, and they're really great. But when you want to do it by yourself manually, it's a good idea to set up frequency separation deliberately, not just blur the skin a little bit, but run the action. And when it pops up, in this case, median, by the way, my action sets do also have Gaussian blur and surface blur alternates. So you can use those if you prefer. We can talk about maybe in another video why those are different if you want. Again, the problem is that nothing of this is a solid set of 7 bullet points of here's what you must do. Print out this reference card, put it next to your computer. These are the numbers you need. These are the settings you need. No, unfortunately, no. That radius is going to be arbitrary and you need to play around with it. Just know that if you choose a 2 radius, you're not pushing very much texture, at least the broadness of the texture, into the high layer. Great when you want to be really detailed and micro controlling, like for the outfit, for example, things of that nature. Maybe you want to make broader changes. But not great if you want to paint broadly across medium frequencies to blend transitions together, areas of the skin, areas of whatever. Find out what those radiuses could be for you by playing and experimenting. Now, it's really cool, and if I may say so myself, if you come here and you do some work and it's again 4 or 5% flow. You do a little bit of work on the outfit here. Maybe you take this color and you paint some stuff in. Let's say you're pretty satisfied with it. I'm not. That's just BS. Okay. But when I have an action set up here, render reprocess. So you tap that and it's going to take everything you've worked on, cake it together, cook it together, and then you can choose like a 12, hit OK, and then it resets everything up with the edits you already did on 2, and now you're at 12. right? So it just kind of gives you a little bit of flexibility as you move forward in your workflow. Now, some people have also said, hey, what happens if you run frequency separation multiple times? Do you start having image degradation? Yes, but it needs hundreds of runs, potentially thousands, especially on 16-bit. You can run it basically endlessly as many times as you need, and it will work. One caveat though, if you do run render and reprocess on my actions, everything that you did is, like I said, baked in. Keep that in mind. So you have to be really committed and convinced that what you worked on is great. Can you just do it manually? Sure, you can just flatten to a new layer and then keep going from there. But I recommend flatten the whole thing, or while you're anywhere inside the folder, choose the render and reprocess. Now, with that said, I know it can still be confusing. And I know people want to know what the magic numbers are. How do I choose radius? How do I choose settings that are going to work for me to get me the results that I want? I recommend, again, experiment and play. And if you have an action that's convenient, like mine and others, to just change the radius over and over in different ways, run it. Do some work on it, flatten, run it again. And try and see what happens, right? We haven't even talked about healing on the high layer, which is a whole nother situation because we have advanced layers as well. Advanced is a silly term, but we have some more advanced layers that you can run as well. But that's not what this video is about. It's talking about the extraction process, what matters to you potentially, and why you should care. And that radius is the number one thing that I feel people overlook and are told the wrong way, or at least an incomplete way. And I hope that clarifies things a little. But again, if you have any questions, drop me a comment below or hit me an email, mbp@ninobatista.com.